Hi, everybody. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Amber.
And we're
Witches Talking Tarot.
And today we're going to be discussing, I'd say it's kind of a hot topic. I feel like people talk about this all the time, but do they always get it right? That's what I'm going to say. The origin of the pointed black witch's hat, which is commonly seen in pop culture. For example, The Wizard of Oz. That was the first thing that popped in my
popularized the witch's hat and the discoloration of the skin.
Yes,
because they were filming it in Technicolor, so that's why her skin was green.
Really?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
and it's also in Harry Potter, and it's in the Halloween
everything.
Costumes.
Yeah, I was gonna say almost anytime you see a witch depicted in something pop culture that's calling out the fact that this individual is a witch, they have a pointed hat, like a pointed brimmed hat specifically, not just a conical hat like a dunce cap, but a conical hat that has a wide brim around it.
I love it because we're talking about pointed hats and the origin and things like that, but I keep seeing in my head Bobby Hill when he joined
I know.
Is that what you're thinking too?
No, not exactly, but
I love that episode.
I mean, yeah. I was picking up what you were putting down already when you said Bob. I was like, yep.
I love it when he joins the coven, dude.
I love all the memes that episode created.
Me too. It's so funny. I love it. It's so great. Check out King of the Hill.
Well, and what I love about the research that we're going to share with you today is one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode, aside from the fact that witch's hat, it's pretty iconic for a witch. You can find several of them in my living room. Literally, there's one right behind Maddie.
Oh, there is.
There, yeah. They are pretty iconic when it comes to witches, right? Mm-hmm. But a very long time ago, I had learned that a witch's hat was a pointed cone to direct energy, magnifying it and directing it at a specific place, while the brim of the hat was to protect from other energies and unwanted energies. And not once did I read that when I was trying to find out about the origins of the witch hat and why the witch hat is what it is. And I'm is this a timeline jumping thing?
No, I swear I remember it too.
Because that is why I was so excited to do this episode. And there is still there's some stuff that points in that direction, but at the same time, I wanted a full ass article about that.
You mentioned timeline jumping. I just have to say, I freaked the fuck out. My grandma, I know she's a believer. She's so in denial, but I told her about Snoop Dogg.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, it's like we jumped from different timelines. And she goes, don't, Maddie. I said, what do you mean? She goes, don't, Maddie. I can't handle that. You're going to freak me out. What do you mean switching from different timelines? You're gonna wig me out and make me think that I'm not meant to be here. And I was like, okay, either craziness runs in my family, which is a high possibility, or she is more in tune than she likes to admit.
Well, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with what you have to say there, but on the other end of that aspect, some people literally can't handle that.
No, I can't. It will drive me crazy.
Yeah, because Corey and I were literally just talking about switching timelines earlier, because we had pulled up a clip from Scary Movie 2, because we were trying to describe the grab my strong hand, grab my strong arm scene to our youngest daughter, because my husband's little brother, before he died...
But he says, grab my good arm.
No, he doesn't. He says, grab my strong arm. It's strong arm. But now, it does not say strong arm. The little clip that we watched last night said, grab my small arm.
What?
Fucking weird.
Shut up.
I had an existential crisis.
No, bitch. I'm sorry. You're lying.
No,
I don't believe you.
We'll have to find it in between
I'm going to be
episodes.
Sick.
I literally had a physical reaction.
Okay, guys. Okay, no. I can't.
Grab my small arm.
He didn't say that, no.
No, okay, so here's the crazy thing. No, he didn't say that. He said, grab my strong arm. I know this because my little brother-in-law, my husband and I took him to
grab
see
my strong hand or grab my strong arm.
We took him to see that movie in theaters, and he quoted that until like he died, or until like a couple years before he died.
Grab
Okay,
my small hand?
it said grab my small arm.
I don't.
Or small hand. Yes, it did. And like, what's crazier than that is
I have a
in
phone.
between-
I gotta Google this. Like,
in between then and now, I have also heard that in the Mandela effect, because this is definitely a Mandela effect thing, right? In the Mandela effect spectrum, I had previously, during season 1 or 2 of this show, I had heard on another show the Mandela effect with that, but instead of grab my strong arm, it was grab my good arm.
Yeah, I thought
Like
it was
you
grab my
said.
good arm.
But it's not, it's never been grab my good arm, and that confused the shit out of me. And I was like, no, that's not right. I know that's not right. We even talk about it in one of our episodes. I think the timeline episode that we did, I bring specifically that up, and with it being good arm versus strong arm.
That guy is
right?
just grotesque.
Yeah, he is.
I'm sorry.
And then beyond that, though, now today, or rather last night, today, Friday, Thursday, Corey was home, so, but it wasn't today, so it must have been Thursday or Friday. My bad. It wasn't yesterday. But anyway, guys, that clip said grab my small arm. So that would be 2 timelines jumped for me. If it started a strong arm, then went to good arm, and is now small arm. That's not what this episode's about.
It's
guys.
not,
Sorry,
but it's not. But you mentioned
it's
timelines,
relevant.
and I know. I don't think she can
because
handle it.
I not seeing the whole like conical to direct energy and protect your cone and all that shit. Not seeing any of that in this research really fucked my head up. I won't lie.
I say something controversial? On the topic, not on the topic, but like, you say like some people can't handle like knowing certain things, like timelines jumping. I think that almost all witches walk that line of insanity. And I think that's because it's...
Do you like the smoke, YouTube? Tell us in the comments.
It's one of those things where there's a reason why witches and people who practice are susceptible to going insane.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's all about...
when you open yourself up to so much, like, what is insanity really?
Right.
Like, literally, like...
Okay, this is like a whole ass episode, actually.
Right? But like what we view as insanity, like, is it really insanity, or have you really just opened up so completely you're able to see through all of it? Don't come at me, guys. It's just a conversation starter. But again, like Maddie said, not necessarily for this episode.
But I do like, think that we walk that fine line, and I think what keeps people grounded or keeps people from going insane when practicing is being able to ground, because you have to be able to say, this is too much for me right now. I need to take a step back or I will go off the fucking deep end. You know, I do that sometimes when we have conversations. I'll be like, change the subject, Amber, please.
Well, I'm going to be a little controversial and be like, revert to what I just said. Like, I don't necessarily think they cray. I think maybe they just understand more than us. I don't know yet, but my hand's heating up like I'm right. So, and it's my
strong arm.
But like, so, because Corey was like, oh, it's like the CIA had this great big conspiracy, right? And I was like, no, timeline jumping. And he's like, no, I can't handle that. Like, no, he can handle that the CIA has like this huge conspiracy to make us
keep talking. I'm gonna do this. We got a thumbnail. I'm sorry, did I spit on you? I did not mean to.
I was just laughing. I thought that was funny. But like, okay, that's something. But like, okay, it just made me feel like timeline shift, or like I'm like remembering false memories, but you have the same memory.
I do remember it.
I just wonder why I couldn't find that in writing anywhere. And I know you said maybe it's a new age thing, but like, no, it was like when I learned about it, it was when I was learning about like some historical shit. Like it was a historical learning versus an esoteric for the purpose of my craft learning. It's something that I knew possibly before I started practicing the craft. I don't know. But I just have to share with everybody. It really fucked with my head to not find that in writing. during this research when that is exactly what I expected to find.
Mm-hmm. So the pointy black witch's hat, is honestly, I feel like it's definitely something that witches have embraced, but it wasn't always a good thing. But then again, being a witch wasn't always a good thing.
But I mean, it started out as a good thing. The reason that it wasn't necessarily a good thing is because it was associated with the seers and the shamans, because seers and shamans did wear conical hats, right?
Right.
And this is like pre-medieval times. Like, this is before the church came in and took over. The seers and the shamans typically wore conical type of hats.
So it's
even the Pope's hat is conical. Think about it. It is.
It is, isn't it?
It fucking is.
Oh my God.
It is.
Okay.
Because
oh my God. But wait.
wear them. That's why they got the bad rap, because the church was trying to demonize both magic and, we'll get into the rest.
I'm just over here like, wait, so the Pope in Catholic and all of that, like, whatever, is the only one that can wear one? So he's the only one connected.
He's the only one who can directly.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm just saying, like, there's something to it, like, definitely. But because, so it went from like magical peoples, right? The seers and the shamans. And then it became like in the somewhere between the 12 and 1600s, like, everybody wore pointed hats. Well, like, every fucking body.
Before we get into the 12 and 1600s, in 4 to 5, like, what was it, BC, something like that, there was these Chinese women.
It was 2 to 4 BC.
2 to 4 BC, there were these Chinese women that were witches, or were they accused of witchcraft?
No, because we associate pointed hats with witchcraft. They were called witches.
Okay.
They were most likely like falconers or worked with large birds.
Right, because they had gloves. They wore gloves.
But they had these great big pointed hats.
Yes, yeah. So they became called like the witches of
Subeishi. It was Subeishi or IE, something along those lines. If you type it in wrong, I'm sure you'll find the Subeishi.
Well, and that just goes along with what you said, Amber. Like, almost everybody wore them. Like, people wore them all the time. Like, you don't like. I mean, it's just throughout the years it has changed so much.
Once it became associated with witches, is when people stopped wearing them.
Right, except for the Pope.
And
those, like, I'm trying to think where to start. Okay, so there are 3 stories that you may know, okay? 1, there's a theory that witches wearing black hats came from Quakers. Like, Quaker women. Because the, what you call them? They start with a P, the Protestants?
Pilgrims. Oh, Protestants.
Protestants, they didn't
Sorry,
like
I just watched a movie.
No, it's okay. They did not like the Quakers. Like,
no, they did absolutely not, because the Quakers, like,
they believed that men and women were equal.
They did, and the women were allowed to be preachers and teach magic and practice magic.
Yes.
But not just that, but like you had mentioned when we were talking off air, religious persecution. The Quakers were a threat to the church because they thought differently. They were more open-minded. Because they thought women and men were equal, they did allow women to be preachers, and the women and the men
often wore hats. They weren't necessarily pointed.
Right.
They're like stereotypical pilgrim hats.
Well, like I was saying to Maddie, like, they are what I would say stereotypical pilgrim hats as well.
Right.
What I was saying to Maddie is, like, half of the things that I've read for this research said that the Quakers did wear pointed brimmed hats. And then half of what I read said they did not wear pointed brimmed hats. Just, it's been meddled through history because pointed hats were demonized because they were associated with Quakers and Jews and witches or magical practitioners.
Which brings us to the Jews aspect. Amber, would you like to talk about that one?
Well, the Uden hat was originally, I believe it was a choice of Jewish peoples to wear. It was part of their religion. Again, the conical shape being something that people who practice
So it's not like the little
wear.
hat.
Right. It's not like the little hat. And actually, some of the pictures of a Uden hat, like, they were very, like, it made me think of, not Isaac Newton. Who was the guy that got killed because he said the sun was the center of the universe?
I don't know.
Copernicus? Anyway, the hats made me think of the guy named Copernicus because
Mhm.
it was very like planetary,
Mhm.
right? It made me think of like planetary phases and
Well, and
stuff. But
something
some of them were just cone hats. But they started as a choice
uh-huh.
religiously. It became a punishment. If you were Jewish, you had to wear the hat to show other people that you were a bad
Jewish.
Jewish
Like
person
I
because
had
they wanted to persecute the Jews and demonize them as much as humanly
all
possible.
throughout fucking history, bro.
I know.
I had no idea that the Jews were expelled from England for a long ass time. Did you you knew that? I had no idea. They were kicked out of England and only like then they were let back in. What the fuck did they do? Oh, you know what? I'm not going to get off on that subject.
They were Jewish.
Right. Well, they were Jewish and then a lot of Christian faiths are like, "Hey, you guys, are you persecuted Jesus or you're the reason why?" And it just goes it's religious hate is what it
It is
is.
religious
Absolutely.
discrimination, yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then there were the third group of people,
Which was the ale ladies. What is it? Ale maids. Ale
alewives.
wives. Okay. So these
Which is
bitches.
also a really good song, by the way.
Is
It's
it?
called there's a song called Alewife, and I like it a lot. I do.
So, and I feel like a lot of people know this one because it was trending for a while. I think it was viral on Facebook where they were talking about the ale wives for a little bit, which
And they were like a competition to men who brewed beer because historically women were the brewers, but then when men wanted to get in on the
right,
game,
exactly.
they were competition. And
And
the alewives wore tall hats so that they could be noticed at the market when they were selling their brews.
exactly. And
And the
of course,
food.
any woman that knows herbology
Magic.
or
Yep.
anything brewing or
Right.
apothecary is automatically a witch, but a man can do the same thing and not be a witch. So,
Sort of. I mean,
in a way,
99% of the time.
when it comes to the
I'm just being
brewery
fair.
company,
I'm just
yeah,
being
yeah,
fair. Plus,
right.
we have a good amount of male listeners. Love you guys.
Well, I'm
like Tim and Dustin. And I think the Neatcast has started listening. I don't know. But,
to be
know,
clear, I just
thanks,
mean like a
guys.
long ass time ago. Like, and like Amber said, still not true because men were burned and hang as witches all the times too.
But like,
But the men took over the brewing company and they said, "Hey, we're doing what they're doing, but they're witches when they do it." You know what I mean?
right. Well, and they're like, it's basically like, we're the strong men. We're here to take over. They think they can still do what we do. Obviously, they're witches.
Right. Right.
They're witches. But, you know, even though the hat was condemned, it is embraced today.
It is
and
embraced
I do find
today.
that beautiful.
I do too. I do too.
I do find it beautiful. I think that it is sad that something that was historically first associated with those we would go to for spiritual leadership, those we would go to for help. Because, like you've said in many an episode, and I know this to be true in real life from my own personal experience, the same people that will condemn you for witchcraft will ask you to do a spell for them because they need X, Y, or Z.
Yep. It happens
And
all the time.
all the time. And so, like, that used to be a way of life, not the condemnation part, but the going to your local neighborhood witch and having her or him do a spell for you. They didn't use the word witch back then, honestly. It was mostly like shamans, seeress, fill in the blank with whatever you want, whatever the local word for a magical practitioner that we now basically just translate
Wise
into the
woman.
word witch. Yeah, wise woman. They were celebrated. Their attire was eventually something that everybody wore in the conical hat shape. And then the church came in and demonized it, using specific groups of people to do so because it benefited the church.
Yep.
And then they put one on the Pope.
Well, that also benefited the church because if the Pope is the only one that can connect and is in tune.
Right. And everybody else that does it who wears a black hat because black protects you from the evil spirits, but the Pope's hat is white. And granted, white is for purity, but I think I'll let something through the veil. I'm just talking shit at the moment.
Well, and I'm over here like
I totally use white for protection. I just wanted
you,
to talk shit.
what?
I'm sorry.
Anyway, no, I zoned out for a minute because I was like, wait. Excuse me, guys.
Well, but I mean, like, witches wear black hats generally thought because of protection purposes. Right?
Oh, yeah, witches wear black for protection purposes. I mean,
right.
Not all the time, but like, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
And the Pope's hat is white. Granted, it does have, I'm pretty sure, gold and silver.
I think it has gold.
Yeah, yeah. So that would give, but I just wanted to talk shit for a second since they want to be the only ones with the pointy hat.
I have to say something. I did see a video of the Pope and it made me feel just a little good. And that never happens. But like, it was this kid and he was like crying and he wanted, like, they were asking, like, who wants prayers from the Pope, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Mm-hmm. This kid gets picked out. He goes and whispers in the Pope's ear. The Pope whispers back. He says, hey, can I tell them your story? He says, yes. And the kid came up and he asked the Pope, because his dad recently passed away, my dad was an atheist. Is he in hell? I want to see him again. And he said, I've been baptized. My brother was baptized, but he didn't believe in Mm-hmm. And have you seen this video?
No.
And the Pope said that a father loving their children so much, why would God put him in hell? And that just made me feel so
I was
good.
smiling because you said it made you feel good, so I was expecting a good story.
And so I just have to say, there's a reason, like, that just made me feel so good because, like, the poor kid, he was crying and he was devastated, and the Pope could have been an asshole. There are plenty of fucking Christians that would have been
I'm glad you started out with it made you feel good, because otherwise I would have been real nervous about the outcome of that story.
Right. And a lot of the people who were listening to the Pope were kind of shocked that he said such a thing, because he said an atheist is probably in heaven and could be in heaven because he loved his children so much, his sons so much. Why would God?
If the kids were baptized, then you would think that, like, maybe
exactly what we talked about with generational curses. Right. Exactly. Yes. Check out last week's episode. But like, he also the week before's episode, but like he said he compared it to God himself as a father who loves us so much, so he must be able to understand and connect with a father. And it was just such a heartwarming thing.
I'm glad that the church is growing finally. Mm-hmm. Like, that makes my heart happy to know that the elders of the church, because the church is an inanimate object. It is made up of the people that serve the church. And the people that serve the church are choosing to take a line of growth and learning and broadening their horizons, broadening their way of thinking to allow space for a hypothetical situation like that. Or I guess that wasn't hypothetical. That was real. I say hypothetical because don't really know what's going on up in heaven, so that's where the hypothetical comes
Well, and I mean, the people that
really exists.
Right, guys. And the people who were listening were kind of like shocked that he said that, but like, I think that's a wonderful thing to say. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I
think
my
hair is frizzy as fuck because of this weather. I'm over here like fucking like over here, like if you can see it right there, but like check us out on YouTube if you want to see Maddie's Frizzy Princess Diaries hair. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Yeah. No, I was gonna say something else too. Oh, the last Pope, he was just an asshole. Like,
straight the fuck up. I think a lot of the last popes were assholes, though. Anyways, like, to be fair. That was any reference.
Is there anything else you can say about black cat hats?
Okay, so witches' hats, like, just because sometimes we get a little off topic, I'm just going to sum up to say that the story you heard is where witch hats come from, because it comes from many different places of many different factions of people and cultures being demonized by the church because of the way they chose to live their life. And even though at the time, everybody wore this kind of article of clothing, over time, as it was further demonized, the article of clothing itself stopped being worn by the main culture. Oh my fucking God. And they're closing our third eye, and they stopped having us all wear fucking conical hats, and because they don't want us to connect to the mass energy that exists if you put your cone hat on and you direct your energy directly, and everybody's wearing one, and you're all connected, and it is all connected, and we are each all the universe, and it's all everything, and oh my God, it's all like this one, right? And so if we're all just pieces of the universe as consciousness, but you cut the fucking consciousness off by demonizing the thing that gives the consciousness an easy access, so you have to instead go out of your way to gain access to those Akashic records and the esoteric knowledge, and you have to do it all the hard work, and you got to put the work in, and you got to find it on your own, because we used to just have access to it because we all used to know that you wear the cone hat and you do the things and you're connected. But now they purposefully keep us disconnected by telling us we're not connected, and by telling us we're different, and by telling us we have to stay in our little hovels away from each other, and we just need to connect over this piece of equipment that everybody is followed on by the fucking government, because the government is the one that is keeping us fucking under their shoe, because they're owned by the fucking church. Oh my God.
Wait. Amber, you sound like right now, we got to get our tinfoil hat on. I was waiting to make that joke the whole time.
Can I blow your mind for a second? Because I just blew mine. No, but if you think about it, if everybody used to wear the hat, right? Mm-hmm. And we used to live more correctly. We used to live in a more right way. But then the church came in and they wanted control over everybody. So they made everybody think everybody's different. And then they, piece by piece, changed that. And then they made the cone hat that helped you connect. They made that a bad thing. So you took your cone hat off and you got a little pilgrim hat. And now you're just squared off, and you just listen to what the guy at the pulpit says instead of connecting with spirit yourself, because spirit is within you, spirit is without you, spirit is all around you. I'm just saying.
No, it makes sense.
Okay, that said, last night Jan and I watched this movie called Pilgrim on Hulu.
Is it scary?
Yes, it is a Thanksgiving horror movie, and it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's very gruesome.
Oh, is it a bloody movie?
Yeah, so like the premise is like this like hoity-toity family. They're not the hoity-toity-ist, but hoity-toity family. They hire like these pilgrim reenactors to come bring you a traditional Thanksgiving.
Oh my God, that sounds fantastic already.
It is. It really is. And they did it
that sounds
so
horrible.
Well.
Who the fuck would want to do
that? The
head
pilgrim guy is so unsettling.
And then at the end, they're like, we pay you. Did you get your money's worth or some shit? Like, is it bad? Is it crazy? Or, oh my God, don't tell me.
There's nobody left at the end to pay. I'm just saying.
There's also a new Thanksgiving horror movie coming out called Thanksgiving.
Yeah. That's what prompted me to watch Pilgrim, because I knew it was on Hulu, and it's been there since 2019. And if I've watched it before, because I feel like I put it on before, but it must have been one of those movies I put on and took a nap, or I put on and did something else and like absolutely did not pay attention, because I really have no recollection of the movie. But we watched the whole thing last night, and it was fucking good. It was good.
Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
It was good. It's scary. It was good though. I don't. Okay,
when you say like bloody, do you mean Wrong Turn or do you mean Django?
What's
the difference?
Yeah.
Django is more plot driven. Wrong Turn is just murder.
I guess Django.
Okay, then I'll watch it.
It's good. It's fucking good. Eat dinner before. Don't eat like while you're watching the movie though, because I was gonna eat at the end and I was like, never mind, I'll eat later. It's good, y'all. Pilgrim on Hulu. This is not a paid sponsorship. I'm just saying it was a good movie. Speaking of paid sponsorships, thank you so much, Death by DVD,
Victoria,
Melissa,
and Pam.
We appreciate you for being our patrons on Patreon. We really hope you enjoyed the clip show of the Seasons of the Witch for our October extra episode in November. These witches run on pagan time. What can we say?
Yeah, which is why we're recording late at night and I keep yawning. I swear we always record late at night. I'm always
like,
yawning.
I've been
so
downing coffee because I've been up since 5 a.m. So, like,
I know.
feel
I
you.
never get up at 6 o'clock and I did today. So, like, I just got to say, Maddie's the yawner. Yeah. Oh my God.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that. But if you are watching on YouTube, like, definitely like and subscribe. It helps us out. And, like, low-key, it's growing and you're helping us out with that. So thank you.
You can find...
Key. We love you.
Right? And you can find us on Instagram at Witches Talking Tarot. And we're on...
X at Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches, you know.
Thanks for sitting with us for a spell.
Bye.